Hi everybody and welcome to this video, part of the BK Course Guides series, aimed at those playing tour play, either learning a new tour completely or dealing with learning new courses as a result of tour play reshuffle in the game. We're going to be looking at the JAMIL Dunes here. It is a very interesting course with some tricky moments in the shootouts, but also in the main holes actually some good chances for some drops, especially on a couple of the par 4s and also one of the par 5s. So I do think this is a very good opportunity to get used to using yardage tables if you're able to. Don't forget, check out the rest of the playlist on the channel and also the BK Academy series if you do want more information about yardage tables or sliders and other great suggestions on how to improve your game. As always, these are overviews for all of the 9 holes of the JAMIL Dunes course, general routes and elevations for all 3 tees. So it doesn't matter which tour you're on, hopefully the routes shown here will give you a good idea of how you want to approach the holes. We're starting with the par 4s, then going on to the 5s, and finishing with the shootouts, where I'll give you my thoughts on how near you need to be to the pin in order to have a good chance of winning. Timestamps will be in the video description down below. And before we get started, please do hit thumbs up on the video if you're enjoying the content. Do consider becoming a subscriber and hit the bell button to get notified when we upload new content or go live. Let's get started with the par 4s. So the first par 4 most likely going to be the white line all day and every day here over on the right hand side. We want to be bouncing before that big fairway bunker on the right, where the blue cross is, with some topspin and also a little bit of a side spin. And we want to try and get ourselves towards the rough. 10% extra is the adjustment there on the drive. Be mindful though, in headwind you will then be bouncing a little bit nearer than you think due to the compressed ball guide, so make sure you don't hit a hefty great ball either side and you add a little bit of topspin or overpower if you are adjusting into overpower. We don't want to be landing in the fairway bunker. If we do, then that's going to be game over in terms of reaching the green in 2, unless we have a really strong tailwind for the second shot. Second shot here on the white line going to be played most likely with a long iron if you do not roll far enough, or if you do get a good roll then you will be in short iron range as well. So it's one of those you're going to have a couple of shots ready, and that also depends of course how you do with the drive in terms of how much topspin you've got and what roll you get. 0% or 10% is what I've put here, but in tournament play we have played in heavy crosswinds with as much as 20% with the short iron here. So if it is the short iron, it's going to be near a max distance, in which case you will need some backspin to bounce up there, because the bounce point there is on an uphill slope. If you don't roll that far on your drive, obviously the Grizzly is good, or the B52. There is a little rough bump there as well on the base of the palm trees, but it is a very technical shot. So in tour play I would be recommending the standard bounce. Not a must eagle. Is it a very difficult eagle? No, but the adjustment is tricky and it will vary depending where you are on the drive and what the wind is doing. The black line there of course is the send it option if you do get a load of tailwind and you've got a ball that you want to spend on it, then just go full blast. Obviously in tour play you don't really want to be using a berserker, so it's entirely up to you. But if you can get a good way down there with a power 3 and just end up in a short iron range, then that's going to be very nice indeed. Lots of eagles to be had on this more straightforward par 4, and topspin is the key. We really want something with 6 bars plus of topspin. Front tee, obviously for rookies, if it's in a lower tour, then the big topper is good if you can deal with the accuracy. But if you'd rather play it safe, then obviously go with a more accurate driver and just scale back the topspin. Pro, expert and master, so second and the third tee, we're really going to be wanting the Thor's Hammer or the Apocalypse in high level if you've got it, to be honest. Get your topspin on, hit perfect, and find the middle of that narrow strip of fairway on the right. I don't play the left side here at all in any wind direction because I think it's much easier to find the rough or the sand. Even though the right hand strip of fairway is narrow, it's a consistent piece of fairway and there's no islands to deal with. 10% elevation on the drive, like I said, put all the topspin on that you can, and hopefully with the second shot you are going to be in short iron range. I would be playing the second shot usually 0% elevation, but you might want to add 5 or 10% in crosswind, especially if it is a heavy crosswind. This is a linear hole, so if you can note down some drive yardages and some outcomes on your second shot, get yourself a nice yardage table, will help you drop more shots. And hopefully you can win this outright with an eagle and not have to go to the shootout. Not dissimilar to the last hole really. The right side is favoured, and again it's a linear hole. Again we can use yardage notes if you would like to get some tables drawn up and what works for you in terms of adjustments. Then start noting down your drive distances and how you get on with your second shot. 10% on the drive, we want to bounce again with topspin where the blue crosses and get yourself down there. Hopefully we will be in range with a short iron second shot. 0% or 10%, I've done both here, also depends on the wind, but we want to find a nice bounce point here. There is a little area around that blue cross where you move left or right and you will see the ball guide flick to one side. So in which case, maybe add a little bit of side spin, try and get a nice bounce point here. But the green is very true and a very, very good chance for an eagle. Bear in mind though, just because of the design of the hole, if you do catch the rough or the sand early on with your drive, then you are going to have quite a difficulty if we do get headwind on the second shot to reach in too. So I would favour accuracy, to be honest. Doesn't matter so much if you're in the rough nearer the green, you are still going to reach, but as you've got a decent chance for an eagle, it is really important to try and find the fairway if you can. Obviously the aim is not to go to shootout, and with this par 4 you have a very, very good chance at winning the hole outright. On to the par 5s we go, and there's only one route shown here, and that is the route I will play in all wind directions regardless of what tee we are going from. We want to bounce over where the blue cross is, and we want to lay up before the bunker. It's very tempting to go full blast down the left or go down to the top of the middle patch of fairway to the top left of the first white arrow to try and get more distance. But the problem is there, you've not really got a very good second shot. Whereas if we end up where the tip of that arrow is before the sand, we've got a brilliant line for the rough bump. So bounce over there with some top spin and right spin, get a good length on your drive. 10% elevation is the key. Now the second shot, power 2 ball or power 3 ball with some side spin is beneficial really, because we are going to need plenty of side spin to try and find the funnel. Bouncing, and it is a rough bump, where the blue cross is. I've put 0% as the general elevation. Sometimes we will play -10 as well depending on wind direction, but start with 0 as a guide. And we want to just move our target around, add a little bit of top spin and some side spin, get the ball guide to the hole and wiggle the landing point around the bullseye so you can see that funnel where the rest of the ball guide will not move around much at all. Bear in mind you may need to do a little bit of offset here, so if you have wind from left to right, I would offset the ball guide slightly left edge of cup and vice versa. And in similar fashion, if you do have headwind here, then you're going to need the ball guide going through the hole, because there is that small second bounce once you've caught the rough. You will see some albatrosses here, so once again, if you can win the hole outright and get some yardage tables going, it is a linear hole, does afford the chance to use those, then it will be a very, very good advantage. Now we go from a simpler par 5, as we've just seen, onto a much trickier par 5. And headwind here is going to cause some issues. Power 3 ball is an absolute minimum. Obviously, if you do have tailwind, you can use a Titan. But any form of headwind, I would recommend a Kingmaker, to be quite honest. 10% extra on the drive. We go with a driver with as much distance combined with topspin. Go max topspin and aim centre fairway. It is a narrow piece of fairway, and a great left or great right may land you in the hazard, in which case you can safely kiss your chances at an eagle goodbye. So concentrate on hitting perfect. Here is the dilemma. What wood club to use? Because really, you don't know what the wind's going to be like for the second shot. And even if you push the drive and you want to play with sniper, which is a very good chance, you may get a horrendous headwind, which means you won't reach anyway. So if you do have a 180-yard wood club that you're going to manage okay with the shootout, then I would, to be honest, be going with that here. It's all about claiming the eagle as safely as possible rather than losing the hole outright. So be accurate on your drive. Second shot, 20% downhill, and it's going to be a rough bump on the white line unless you have horrendous amount of headwind, in which case play the black line with top spin and left curl, and just try and bounce over and transport the ball safely to the green. If you are playing rough bump, you will need 4 to 5 bars of topspin. Again, if you're using a 180-yard wood club, you're not going to have a great ball guide here. If you do get an albatross, believe me, it's a real bonus. You don't see them very often at all. So just play sensibly and safely and hit perfect. Get your eagle and take it to shootout. Final par 5 and some interesting options here. We'll talk about the blue line first, and this for me is a nice safe option, especially for middle tee and definitely third tee if we do have nasty headwind. Just play topspin with wind resistance 3 ball if possible, or more if you are a fan of spending premium balls in tour play, and get yourself down there as best you can towards the end of that first piece of fairway. 0% on the drive as a guide. Second shot from there, hopefully you can play with sniper, but if not, if you've got the Guardian or the Cataclysm as a backup and you don't mind using them in shootout, then go with that as well. Going to be a mixture of spins depending what the wind is doing, but you will need right spin and you will need right curl to get round the shape of the fairway there and just get it safely to the green. Downhill for the second shot as well. I've not really specified an elevation here because it does vary, but I play minimum 10% and most likely 20%, to be honest. If you're going the right hand side, which is the usual route, you've got a few options. The quarterback is good for the curl for lower level players, but you will need some side spin to the right. So if you can use a side spin 3 ball with some top spin, then use that along with the curl. APOC is of course very good for higher level players here. 0% again is the adjustment, but if you are using curl to the right, do not aim too close to the rough on the right, because the curl will push your landing position to the right as well, and you may end up landing directly in the rough or the sand. Again, from there you're not going to reach in 2. Assuming all goes well though, you've got a 30% downhill second shot. The rough bump is the best chance at the albatross, and hopefully you can play this with a long iron with good ball guide, or if you're short on the drive, you may have to play it with the sniper. But I would play true club distance plus 30. If you don't fancy the rough bump, then bounce over with some top spin, and make sure if you do have headwind, you're leaving your second bounce to be comfortably over the rough and the sand. Finally, of course, there is a slice available here out to the right if that is your cup of tea. But either way, we want to be on the fairway, so you've got a nice second shot to get an eagle, and if you fancy it, get that rough bump attempt going for an albatross. On we go to the shootouts then, and we've got 3 routes to look at here, and again, it's wind dependent. If you've got anything from the left to the right, I'd be favouring the white line, because the second bounce is going to take you along the direction of the wind, nicely to the pin. Same with the blue line. If you've got wind from right to left, the contour of the shot is a little bit better there in terms of the wind direction. 10% elevation is what we're going to be using here. Rookie division going to be with the long iron, but of course middle tee, pro and expert are going to be with the sniper. There's a very good line on the blue arrows there that the ball tends to take with a great chance of a hole-in-one that we've found recently in the tournament. So that is, if I had to decide between the white or the blue, for example, in straight tailwind, that's a decent option. There is, of course, a rough bump on the black line with the red cross, but once again, do you want to be risking that in a shootout? Most likely not, unless you're confident with your adjustment. It is, of course, the best chance for a hole-in-one, but you can get very, very close to the pin, and you can still get a hole-in-one by playing the sniper as well. Driver, obviously, from third tee. But there we go, 3 options to choose from. Will depend how aggressively you want to play. In terms of distance from the pin, it is one of the easier shootouts. So, of course, 3 yards is the general rule. But on this one, I would say if you can get within 2 yards, then that's even better. Now, with this shootout, we have only one line on the screen, and that's, the only way to really play the hole. It all depends where you want to bounce and if you want to do the rough bump or not. From front tee, that is going to be long iron, so if you want to do the rough bump, bear in mind you will need to have some topspin. If not, play obviously long iron and bounce over there with some backspin. 20% general elevation. Middle tee, that's going to be either a long iron or it's going to be the sniper, depending on what the wind is doing and also what power ball you have on. The Goliath is good here, less chance of going in between clubs, but you do need plenty of topspin if you are going to attempt the rough bump. Bear in mind, if you are using the Goliath, great left is most likely going to get you in the bunker on the left of the green due to the club accuracy. And I've put 20% as a general rule here. However, in stronger winds, especially if it's some tailwind element and some heavy crosswind, you may want to be going up to about 30%. So this is going to be very, very subjective, this shootout. Master Division is going to be a sniper rough bump. Again, you will need a few bars of topspin here, but it is a decent chance. And as a rule, I would say within 3 yards is the ideal benchmark to be in with the chance of winning this hole. It's up to you really what you feel most comfortable with, and experience will teach you whether the rough bump is for you or whether you just prefer to play safer and go with a bounce over. Finally, here we do have a lot of options to deal with. The blue cross, the light blue cross nearest the green, is a rough bump. Play it if you feel confident, but it is more or less a tournament route. But like I say, if you know the hole well or you want to try some things out without worrying about losing trophies, then this is a very, very good chance if you've got the clubs for it and you're confident with your adjustment and, of course, of hitting perfect. Let's look at the white line, though. This is a rough bump here with the sniper for middle tee and 10% elevation. Be careful when you adjust. If you adjust uphill, you may want to correct with some pull angle to reduce distance on your shot because you will adjust to a higher point. Similar fashion, if you're adjusting down into the sand anywhere on this hole, you will either want to correct again with pull angle or push up slightly so that you don't lose too much distance. If you want to go with the rough bump, you will need some right spin and a couple of bars of top spin, and there is a very nice route to the pin here with the sniper. If you're playing from front tee, you can bounce on the left, and that is to the top right of the dark blue cross. That will be with the long iron. Most, of course, will be using the backbone there, so that will be a fairway bounce. If you do have the wind and the clubs for it, then the black line is also very, very interesting. And if you don't fancy the rough bump, then the bounce up will be the best on the black line to the right-hand side. Again, that's more of a third tee shot, to be honest. But if you do have wind from right to left, you might want to be trying that with the sniper in lower tours as well. So lots to choose from here. In terms of a consistent path to the pin, though, if I had to pick a route, it would be the left-hand side. As a rule here, I would recommend, again, being within 3 yards of the pin to have a good chance of winning. Thank you very much for watching this course guide video. If you have found it useful, please do share amongst your friends in the game, and don't forget to check out the rest of the course guides in the playlist. If you do have any questions whatsoever, please do join us on Facebook in our group BK Golf Clash. We have thousands of members there. Link is in the video description down below. Friendly place where players of the game of all skill levels can interact, help each other out and ask questions. So you can ask away there. No question will be considered too trivial. Wonderful people there will be happy to help out. Thank you once again for watching. See you all very soon. Bye for now.